just enjoy yourself.
Enjoy doing more.
Yeah, try all the different things you can try.
I think you can build or have a very successful life or fulfilling life based on just experiences.
The only time I found success was when we sold our businesses. It was everything I expected.
Yeah.
It wasn't the financial side of it, it was the freedom. Now I'm 66, I'm still learning. I get between 5 and 5.5 hours sleep at night. Freedom is the ability to choose exactly what you want to do. Just make yourself the best you can make yourself. What do you really want? You want to be successful. What does success look like?
The first thing that I wanted to know a bit more about is your first kind of bit of success, and was it what you expected, or did it kind of change your mindset or hopes for the future?
I think my success, or my first bit of success, was 30 years in the coming. It took 30 years of real graft and success. What was success? Success was selling a business, a group of businesses that left me financially independent.
So was that your first success? Because I remember my first success, and it was the first time I sold a bit of vinyl work. And to me, that meant quite a lot.
I think we can look at the differing stages of what you determine success looks like. Outcome success is one thing. As you're going along, was it a success that we managed to build a business through a number of depressions, a number of situations that we never encountered before. So every day was a new day, and there were successes in just surviving in business in those days, if I can say a long time ago. But it certainly, from my point of view, success, the only time I found success was when we sold our businesses.
Okay. And was it what you expected?
It was everything I expected. Yeah. It completely changed my life, our lives, my family's lives. It wasn't the financial side of it. It was the freedom. That was so special. That.
Well, I've got questions coming up your way because I thought you might say something like that. So next question that we're going to ask is, so at the kind of peak of your career, how are you actually spending your weeks? Were you making time for family and friends or going out?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, let me explain how it worked. I always felt I could only be successful in business if I had a strong family relationship. So
Foundation.
I had to be. So I start work early in the morning, between 6 and 7 o'clock at the latest. But every evening, I'd be home at a reasonable time, between 6 and 6:30, and we would sit down as a family and eat together. If my children were involved in any activity, drama, sport, I wouldn't miss it. And when I say I wouldn't miss it, if it meant that I had to get up earlier in the morning to do what I needed to do in our businesses, that's what I would do.
So how important do you think having that family background was to your success?
Oh, it wouldn't have happened without it. First and foremost, a mum and a dad that taught me values, that made it perfectly clear how people would depend upon me when I worked for them, that I'd understand that if I didn't unlock the gates in the morning, nobody could start work. You couldn't let your colleagues down. Everything was family for me.
That's nice. So that brings me on to the next question. So now that you have moved on from that period of life, how are you now spending your weeks? Is it more about giving back to your family and spending as much time as possible with them?
I think you go through different stages because of the age of your family. So in my case, I've got 2 children, 2 grandchildren, and yeah, I love spending the time with them. But more importantly, it's my own well-being I care about, and I don't necessarily mean physical, I mean mental. You being a sporting person, I'm not a physically sporting person. I administer organisations that are involved in sport, but that isn't, the physical side isn't. So I have to have my brain working all the time. And it makes me feel good. It makes me actually deliver on helping people now, where before it was very much about what I would get from it. Now it's, if I help others, that's what I get from it.
So now it's a sense of not really giving back, but you feel kind of grateful to be able to help other people.
I've lived a good life. And when I say I lived a good life, many business ups and downs in there, but you learn so much. I remember people talking to me, you'll understand this more when you're 30, you'll understand it more when you're 40. You think you're rounded at a point, and then now I'm 66, I'm still learning. I learn from young people, I learn from everybody, because they bring things to you that set you challenges and makes things. We're living in a different world now than we lived 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and it goes on. So to have a sharp mind, you've got to move with the times. You can't just go, this is how we used to do it. Things are very different, so you develop on yourself on that.
Well, yeah, I think one of the most important things for people to do as they age is to stay active, whether that's physical or mental.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a lot of research done on how when people stop, they tend to develop quite serious diseases. And it's just purely because their brain isn't working as hard as it used to.
Yeah, what I'd say on that, I totally agree with it. I know you hear people have retired and then within 2 years they drop dead. Now, I want to live a long life. I'm very fortunate that I'm financially independent of working, but that gives me the ability to make decisions not based necessarily financially. And that means in not only the businesses that I'm involved with, but also the sporting organisations I'm involved with. You don't know what experience is until you have it. You just don't know. It becomes natural.
Well, I'd still call you a working man, but would you call it work, or is it just stuff that you really enjoy doing?
I think it's both. I think I really enjoy doing what I do. I'm very fortunate in the main business I work in, that I've got a superb group of people around me that either support me from above or support me from below. Listen, I'm in work at 7 o'clock every morning. And I work till when I need to work till. So in that sense, it's work. But the pleasure you get from that, it doesn't feel like work.
There's a big difference as well when it feels like you're forced to because you need it. And I want to do this because it's something I enjoy.
Yeah, I think selfishly, and I think we all have a degree of selfishness amongst us. I do it because it makes me feel really good. I do it because it actually helps me as a person that's growing a little bit older to still impact and gain the pleasure of impacting, and that makes you feel good. Yeah, I get between 5 and 5.5 hours sleep at night. There isn't a night that I'm not involved in some form of sporting activity. Don't play anything, but administering. Work-wise, I'm fully committed to it. I'm very fortunate. I'm granted, as part of my role, something in the order of 15 weeks holidays a year. I take 5 or 6 weeks because I enjoy what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. What's one thing that you think more people should understand about freedom and what actually is freedom?
I think, from my perspective, freedom is the ability to choose exactly what you want to do, when you want to do it, and it doesn't harm another person. Okay? So in my case, the freedom I have is to choose, because I've got an unbelievably supportive family, to do what I want to do. But I would never do that to the detriment of my family. I couldn't. So they allowed me the freedom to do it, but you always got to recognise that with freedom comes responsibilities, and you are accountable. So if you don't use freedom properly, then it will come back and bite you.
Do you think that money should be the goal for people, or would it be better off for them to kind of work out what money would actually afford them? So in my case, obviously money's a goal.
Yeah.
But it's not the real goal. I mean, the real goal is to be able to work from and where.
Yeah, no, I think just to answer your initial question there, should money be a goal? I don't think it's my place to suggest whether it should be a goal. We all get driven by different situations. I suppose I was brought up in a great family that had built working class people who had built businesses that had become very successful in it. And so I wasn't brought up in a poor home at all. But what is poor? Financially, there's people that are poor emotionally, poor morally. I was brought up with all the values that were right. And I was fortunate that I was able to travel as a young person with my family. Now, I suppose you take that on, and what should people's goals be? I don't think, I'm careful what I say, but I don't think money should ever be a goal. I don't believe any good business person was looking for money as the goal. I think they were looking to enjoy the experience of what they were developing and creating, and that would deliver to them then, and usually it would deliver financially. I'm certainly not driven now by the need for money. It's pleasure now. It really is.
Do you think people should follow their passions rather than
Absolutely.
chasing?
Absolutely. I think you follow your passions. The common use regrets are things that you didn't do, not what you did. And it's true. Go out. Everybody should go out and see if they can develop their passions and enjoy it. I could, in reverse, ask you why you play sport.
It's a good question. Habit, maybe. I also get a good.
You get a buzz.
Yeah.
You get a thrill.
Yeah.
You get enjoyment. It's not financial, that.
No.
I saw Aaron score a goal the week before last, and I couldn't have been more thrilled. As he went through, he shimmied, and the lad went.
The fake slap shot.
The fake slap shot. Yeah. Okay. And I went, wow, I bet what he got out of that, money couldn't buy.
Yeah.
Okay. When I see you do certain things, and others I might add as well, I go, well, you can't buy that. Money can never buy that. The pleasure you get from something of that nature. And business can be like that. Success can be like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be just driven by a financial gain.
I think you can build or have a very successful life or fulfilling life based on just experiences. The people
Absolutely.
who camp on a Thai beach and just eat coconuts all day, Yeah.
Happiness comes in many different ways. You've got to sometimes search for it and search what it means. I don't think ever, and it's hard to say ever when you live in a nice house and you've got nice things, the financial side, it didn't drive me to buy a nice chandelier. I wasn't thinking, oh, I want to buy a nice chandelier. I want to make the business the best I can make it. And what comes from that is whatever comes from it. And in every business and every your persona, I think that's key. Just make yourself the best you can make yourself. Or don't ever give in trying to be the best you can be.
Constantly.
And you'll be respected by everybody on that basis.
Just be the best person you can be. Money will follow if it's...
Yeah, if it's meant to be. But it's the man that's lying on that beach. It's not about money, is it? It's about waking up to a wave. It's about the sunshine coming down. It's about going for a walk. It's about seeing things that you otherwise wouldn't see. That doesn't cost money. It doesn't cost money for people to go and take the dogs for a walk in a park. Just walk and enjoy.
So going back to that question then, I think more people should try and engineer their lives to get to what the money would actually do for them. So if your end goal is to go see more places, can you figure out a way to sustain yourself while you're seeing those places?
I think that's a similar question. Do you want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children? Can you afford 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children? Yeah, surprisingly enough, over time, people have more than coped with having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children. More than coped. Oh yeah, money's tight, this, that and the other. Yeah, they still, and those kids grow up and they're good kids, good young people, and they develop. If you want to follow your goals, you've got to have a clear understanding of what your goals are. And then you can create a path to achieve those goals.
I don't think it takes very long either. I think all you need to do is sit down and just write about it.
Yeah, I think you can certainly create the environment that you can deliver on what you want to be. Now, you can't be a great goal scorer in football if you don't have some talent. We get that. But that is a very small percentage of what people are. You can treat people respectfully. You can actually get the best out of people by behaving the right way. And the value that comes from that is far in excess of being paid a wage. It is. But it depends. Nowadays, everybody is driven differently, and it could be that they want a house, they want a car. I get all of that. You need a roof over your head. But what do you really want? You want to be successful. What does success look like?
It's different to everyone.
Yeah, it is. It can't be.
It's quite a personal question.
Yeah, it is.
So moving on to the next question then. If you could relive your 20s, I don't know if you get asked this question a lot. If you relived your 20s, would you do anything different?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I suppose the follow-up, what would I do differently? I'd behave much better than I did in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I'd treat people respectfully. I don't think I did to the same extent as I should have done. I was probably quite a tyrannical boss and employer. And as you're maturing, you realise these things. You have to determine whether you want to be like that or not.
So do you think most of that was led or driven by emotions rather than logic?
Oh, it was emotions, yeah. I'm a very logical person. As I thought about it afterwards.
Is that after on the same day, or is that after 10 years from there?
Probably years after, but not 10 years after. I certainly recognised I could achieve what I wanted from life by behaving in a certain way. And actually, as I said, being I think I worded it that I was far worse than I actually was, if I'm really honest. But it really made me think that, no, each person that I'm respectful of now. I was at the time, but I didn't really know how to deal with it. I was quite a shy person. I wasn't particularly good with people. But work at it, develop it, and make sure that it doesn't happen again. So whilst I was a tough boss in my 30s and into my 40s, I was a very different manager of people in those days, far more respectful, how I should have been all the way through. So I'd change that.
So do you think there's a way that people can learn that quicker rather than just relying on age to mature?
Yeah, I think at times we feel that we must behave a certain way because that's the expectation of us. We've just got to make sure that that expectation, when we deliver it, is in the right way. Yeah, I think you can teach yourself all of this. I think you can act. Everybody can act. Now, I can't be a great goal scorer, but I can learn how to behave. So if as I say, I was fortunate. I had great parents, great wife, but sometimes your partner's saying, "You really want to act like that?" And you think about it and you go, "No, I don't. I don't think anybody wants to be disliked, but sometimes you have to make decisions that actually people may not like you for, but as long as you behave the right way, you treat people the right way, and I think you can create that yourself."
I think it takes time.
Yeah.
Some people are born that way.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't mean it can't be learned. I think a lot of people believe that character or personalities can't change. I think they can.
I have.
Yeah.
I could prove it to you one day.
I don't see you as tyrannical now.
No, I'm not. No, but I was wrong. Seriously. At that time, I thought that was the way to behave in a society, that's how you behave. So consequently, having businesses in the 70s, late 70s, and you've gone through a whole raft of political situations that suggest how you should behave, then I think you learn how to make sure that isn't the way to be. You can be a good guy and be successful.
Would you class it as a regret?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would, definitely. I really would. When I think about it, I'm disappointed in myself. But this was if I think about it, it was a very short period of my life. I recognised that it wasn't the right way to be as far as I was concerned. Others can be how they want to be, not me. And I thought people that I considered as colleagues, friends that work with me deserve better.
This might be a different time as well.
As I said, if you think about it, some of this is 50 years ago. Between 40 and 50 years ago, things were very different. And the expectation of you was very different. And you thought there was only one path. But when you thought about it deeply and afterwards, as I say, your regrets come to play. You think, I don't need to be like that to be successful.
What do you hope to be remembered by? And do you think legacy is important?
I don't think legacy is important at all. So long as my family and people I've been involved with through my life think that he was a good guy, a nice guy, that's more than good enough. And if there's only one of those, that's fantastic. It really is. But all I want is people to just enjoy themselves and have fun and go out and do great things. And don't believe that you can't do it. Let's not have no as an answer. Let's believe we can achieve whatever we want to achieve, whatever it is.